Laura had often felt in the silence of the night a heavy weight pressing on her chest, leaving her unable to breathe. When she jolted awake from her restless sleep, she would see, just for a moment, a shadow like a black cat or some demonic creature sitting on her bed. Terrified, she thought it was just a hallucination. But could a hallucination really drain the energy from her body? Could it make her weaker, paler, and more exhausted each day, until she finally collapsed unconscious? All of these strange signs became a giant question mark for Laura and those around her. The doctors had no answers. Some said, "You've gone mad." But she wished it were madness. At least madness wouldn't dry out her blood and kill her, for every symptom she bore carried the mark of Carmilla's bite. One of my favorite mythical creatures has always been the vampire, immortal, beautiful, and powerful, free from the everyday worries of mortal life. Today, I want to tell you about one of them, but not just any vampire, the one who became one of the most important and influential figures in Gothic literature. So stay with me until the end of this video, because the story is worth it. The character of Carmilla first appeared in a short story by the Irish writer Joseph Sheridan Fanu. Born on August 28, 1814 in Dublin, Fanu was a true master of 19th century Gothic horror, so much so that he is often called the father of the modern ghost story. Fanu was writing at a time when Europe was filled with legends of vampires, especially in Eastern Europe. He himself was deeply fascinated by darkness, death, and the unknown. In his stories, he often blended psychological fear with supernatural horror. What's fascinating is that Fanu wrote Carmilla about 25 years before Bram Stoker's Dracula. Many believe that without Carmilla, Dracula would never have existed at all. For inspiration, Fanu drew from several sources: the vampire folklore of Eastern Europe, the fears and taboos of Victorian society about women, sexuality, and even same-sex desire, and his own passion for creating a dark female figure who was both dangerously alluring and terrifying. So, who really was Carmilla, this mysterious and lesser-known vampire? In an ancient castle in Styria, a region of Austria, there lived a woman of haunting beauty, her skin pale and cold as snow, her eyes piercing and sometimes glowing red like rubies, and her long dark hair flowing like shadows in the night. She was dangerously enchanting, a temptress who could captivate anyone, man or woman, with no escape. But beneath that mask of beauty lay not a woman, but a merciless predator. Unlike other hunters, she was patient. She toyed with her prey, slowly draining life from them, piece by piece. Her method of hunting was not brute force, but seduction, a psychological and emotional game. Her victims did not fear her. They loved her, and most of them were young, beautiful girls who willingly surrendered to her spell. No one knew her true identity. At night, she would appear in secret, and the people of the region whispered about the mysterious woman, some even dressed in their finest clothes, hoping to catch a glimpse of her, unaware that she was not a lover, but a predator. For centuries, Carmilla lived among humans, but only came out under the veil of darkness. When her hunt was over, she would return to the ruins of her castle, where her coffin was hidden, and sleep until the next night. This is why no one could ever discover her secret. Until one day, her coffin was found. To their horror, her body looked alive, filled with fresh blood, even though she should have been dead for years. That was the moment the truth was revealed. She was a vampire. The people wasted no time. They drove a stake of oak deep into her heart, severed her head, and burned her remains inside the coffin. It is said that in that moment, the souls of all her victims were finally freed. And so, Carmilla, the enchanting vampire, met her final end, not in battle, but in the coffin where she slept. Carmilla was a mysterious and dangerously seductive figure. She possessed the dark power of shape-shifting, able to turn into a cat or other creatures of the night. With nothing more than her gaze and an almost supernatural allure, she could completely enslave her victims. We can say she was the first female vampire in modern literature. What makes her even more fascinating is the context. In the Victorian era, homosexuality was forbidden, a taboo hidden in the shadows. And yet, Carmilla is portrayed as a lesbian vampire, making her one of the earliest and boldest depictions of same-sex desire in Gothic literature. Many traits we now associate with vampires in pop culture, their sensuality, seduction, and the way they lure their victims with forbidden temptation, were first shaped by Carmilla. This is not the end, just another chapter in the dark.